This is D, and let's dress for life. That's what's up. Many people talk about the 1619 project and have issues with it. Well, we at De-Stress Method have issues with it. I shouldn't say issues. Most certainly, I'm not familiar with, or we're not familiar with every aspect of the 1619 project. But the only thing up to this point that we've heard that we have issue with is as it relates to 1619, Fort Monroe, African slaves coming to the American footprint at that time. We'd like to let you know that African slaves came to the American footprint before that. And I know many of you are like, yeah, we know about Florida back in, 1565. But my brother, my sister, I want you to know that it was even before then that you had Africans that were into the American footprint. In fact, if you think about 1565, Florida, who was there as with the presence? They were actually the Spanish and their conquistadores, their military personnel. And in fact, the very first African American, so to speak, setting foot on American soil, the continental United States soil, was, I want to say, Juan Garrido. But here's the thing, my brother, my sister. Juan Garrido, a few years earlier, actually set foot on American soil in Puerto Rico. And that was in 1508, 1509. He, as a conquistador, took slaves from the bishop, from the person who would be the first bishop of Puerto Rico, Alonso Manso. He took Alonso Manso's 25 slaves to Puerto Rico, and these slaves were responsible, 1508, 1509, in building the very first structure on the island. Took them about 30 years. They were finished in about 1539. What are we saying? There's strong African presence in the United States, in its territory, well before 1619. Now let's talk about that. I mean, here we are, Black History Month. Let's talk about that just a little more. Let's unpack it a little more. Puerto Rico has a very strong African presence. And in fact, I want you to hear that African presence. Give you a perfect example. As you talk about Africa being front and center, met a brother, light bright brother, who was from Puerto Rico, and he shared with me that his father, his grandfather, was actually a former slave, had been captured, had been enslaved, but gained his freedom in Puerto Rico, and married a pasty pale lady, Spaniard, and they had his father. If you look at my brother, if you look at my friend, you would never realize that he was closer to the African continent than any one of the personnel at De-Stress Method. One other thing we want you to know, Puerto Rico was actually, by Spain, designated a safe area for slaves, whether you're talking about from the Dutch West Indies, whether you're talking about from the British Isles, wherever. They were able to go there, and when they went there, they were able to gain their freedom. Let's not think that Spain was being altruistic here, because they weren't. They were basically trying to deplete the resources of those other places. Did they give the slaves their freedom? Yeah, they gave them their freedom. Did they give them land that they promised? Yes. But realize this, the land that they were given was junk land. Carolina is a perfect example of that. Another thing, they said that they would be able to fight, or they would be able to serve in the military. Yeah, they served all right. Just like the Buffalo Soldiers, they were given the worst. But this is one thing I'm proud of my African brothers and sisters. Just like the Buffalo Soldiers, the brothers and sisters in Puerto Rico were given the worst, but they made the most of the worst. Just that's what we do. And most certainly, hey, am I happy with all the experiences that my brothers, my sisters, along with I have had? No. But the thing is, this is one thing I will say. We have made the best of the worst. And unlike the Tainos who were exterminated, in so many of the islands, along with the Arawaks and the Caribs, we made the most, and we have thrived. We have been blessed. Let's maintain that, and let's continue to advance higher and higher. Happy African American History Month. Peace.